Good morning students. In this sessions we are going to see about a common Android APIs. We have so many APIs, application programming interfaces, that will be affecting different applications in different scenarios. Myself Dr. Shirisha, Associate Professor, CSE Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So using common Android APIs, we have a vast number of APIs that are available in the Android Studio for Android development or application development. So these are the few APIs that we have. Android App Compat. Everywhere we are talking about Android only. So I'll just read out App Compat. App Compat means what? A library that provides backward compatibility to support newer features on older versions of Android. That means what? If there is a mobile phone with the version say 4.1 and this is the older version. Suppose there is a newer version with the 12.1. So if whatever the application that you are using in 12.1 should also be used in this older version 4.1, and this application could be able to run in this also. So that compatibility we call it. This compatibility can be made or can we make use of this application only with the help of this app compatibility. So it provides what? Backward compatibility to the older versions. So newer versions anyway, newer applications will be compatible with the newer versions, but it should be like this where applications should be supporting the older versions also. So for which we need this API app compat. Camera. Whenever you wanted to upload some photographs or some external files from your application, so it should be capable of accessing that default system applications also. So one such thing is a camera. Allows developers to access the camera on the Android device. That is Android camera. Android location. It provides access to the device location. That means what? If you are near to Hyderabad or near to some Kukatpalli, then the device has to locate to Kukatpalli and it has to show that location. So device location information should be shared, but for that you need this API Android location, including the latitude, longitude and the altitude. Similarly, Android media. What is media? Media means anything, video, MP3 or MP4, anything media. It provides the classes for working with audio, video content, including playing, recording audio and video. So you can able to record, you should able to play it, you should able to display the images, you should able to load the images, you should able to play the audio, you should able to play the video files. So such all things can be used by using this Android Media API. There in the previous sessions, if you see, we have used a media controller class where you have installed or where you have made use of application API and downloaded the package called this media controller, where it is making use of multimedia applications to make use of in your application, like that. Next, notification. Whatever the application if you are using, if there are any notifications, they have to be displayed. If the notifications are on, then only it has to be displayed. So how it is going to display? Suppose if you have Amazon, some sort of notification you got from Amazon application, then it has to display it, right? So how it is going to display is by using this Android notification. Allows the developers to display the notification to the users. Similarly, storage. It provides access to device internal, external storage, including the ability to read and write the files. If you have files which are only readable, then you need to have that permissions. But if you have to write it, then also the Android storage will provide you that capability to write the content either in the internal or external storage. Then Android telephony. What is an API called Android telephony? It provides access to devices, telephony features, making or receiving phone calls, sending or receiving SMS, accessing the device's phone book. Suppose if you have used some external application, say your application called Facebook Messenger, say, suppose. But in the Facebook Messenger, who all should be there in your Messenger? So what should be happen? It should synchronize with your contacts, so that all the people who are there in your contacts, by default, they can be added, or they can text you from your Facebook Messenger. So in that way, what we are doing? We are accessing your contacts into your external files. So these contacts, if you wanted to use in the Facebook Messenger, or your WhatsApp, or any other application. So how it can be done? You should have a synchronization. So this, to export or to import, what is happening? Your Android telephone is helping you to provide this access to the telephonic features. Now, Android UI provides the classes for building user interface of an Android application. Android UI means what? Whatever you are able to view using a layouts or widgets. So classes for building the user interface of an Android application, including views, layouts, widgets. Okay, widgets means what? Whatever your layout is there, what are the applications that have been displayed? That may be a widget. And layouts, what is the layout that is needed? Suppose if you have clicked on some WhatsApp, it has to open that activity, right? Views, including views. Views means what? Your WhatsApp is there. In WhatsApp, you have calls, chats, search, something. Okay, logs. So whatever, if you wanted to use what are the calls that you have received, go to that tab. Again, your activity has to change. So such UI, what are the visibility of the user that need to be visible to the user should change. So that's UI. So Android networking. Android networking provide the classes for working with different protocols. What is that? Networking means, suppose if you wanted to make use of the external pages that you have to load. What is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So what is Hypertext Transfer Protocol? It acts as a bridge between the pages that have been loaded into your applications. So HTTP is a protocol. File transfer protocol. If you wanted to transfer the files between different servers, then file transfer protocols is used. TCP/IP, transmission control protocol, or the internet protocol, to make use of different internet facilities or using different IP addresses, IPv4 or IPv6, or transmission control protocol, which makes use of TCP and UDP for wireless and for wired connection for transmission of your data. So all such things, if you wanted to use or if you wanted to build them, okay, then you have to make use of the API called Android networking. Similarly, sensors, Android sensors. It provides access to the device sensors such as accelerometer, gyroscope and magnetometer. What are the external sensors that you wanted to integrate with your Android device? Then you need to use this UI, use this APIs. So these are few things that we have. There are lot many more. So few I have addressed here. This is some common Android APIs. Activity API, which is used for the framework to manage your user interface interactions. That means all your XML and handling the lifecycle events. So you have on pause, on restart, on start. So all these are the on reload. So all these are the different states you have in the life cycle. Okay, exit or destroy, something like that. So those are the events that you can use for a particular activity. That means all your XML programs. This is activity API. Next, intent API. Intent API is, this allows the components, activities or services or broadcast receivers to communicate with each other through messages. Suppose if you have WhatsApp, in the WhatsApp, if you wanted to send a group messages, suppose if you have WhatsApp, to a group, if you wanted to send message, then what you need to enable? You need to enable the broadcast. Suppose if you wanted to send messages to all the set of people, these set of contacts should make a group. I mean, group means what? Should give one common name. Say I'm giving as a group. In this group, you have all these contacts. For all these contacts, they are not in one group. They are multiple contacts only. But as a set of contacts, you wanted to broadcast some message. Then you can use this broadcast one to many. Okay. So activities or services. Services such as using a different internet or services such as using your activities, life cycles, using the emulators, using your APK files in the Android mobile phone, such services can be used. So to communicate with each other through messages, you are going to use this API, intent API. So one activity to other activity if you wanted to send, or within the activity. Suppose if you have WhatsApp story is there. The same story, if you wanted to post it as Facebook story, then you can integrate that by a single click, right? So this is called intent. This is a intent where the story is affecting by in a single click. It is also affecting a Facebook. This is an external application. This is one application. Application to application you can affect, or within the application also you can affect. So that's the intent API. Content providers API. This API enables sharing of data between the applications. Content provider means what? Sharing the data. Whatever the data you are using, whatever the data that you wanted to share, you have to give them. Suppose Bluetooth is there. Okay. Your Android application should be connected with the other Android application. So when that connection is made, all the files can be transferred. That means all the content, whatever you have, you are sharing to the other. Or one more example. If you have one activity where you have some registration page and they are giving their values, say their name and phone number. Name and phone number. Everyone is giving A, some 1, 2, 3, 4, some number. Again B, some number. Some C, some number. All yours, just as when you click on submit button, they are getting stored. So once this is stored, once they are stored, if you wanted to again access the data or see the data whatever that is stored, that means you have to access them. So here if you give some more button like load, then what happens? All this data which is stored will be loaded. That means what? In the same activity, whatever the users have been given the data, so that data is being stored and accessed. That is also a content provider. Okay. Or one more example for content provider. If you have contacts, like whatever the example we have taken for Facebook Messenger and for WhatsApp, the base thing is you need to have a contacts. So your contacts should be there so that when you have external file like WhatsApp, if you wanted to make all your contacts to get into app WhatsApp also, so this is also is possible only by the content provider by using different APIs again for the communication and all whatever the APIs we need. So that has to be used. Similarly, broadcast receiver API, application to receive and respond to system-wide events such as battery being low or new SMS message, whatever the information you are getting. Suppose if you have internet, you are working with internet and your internet connection is lost, then it has to give you some message. That's a broadcast receiver. It is sending the messages saying that your internet connectivity is disabled or your connectivity is lost, like that. Service API. This API allows the application to run tasks in the background. What is happening? Suppose if you have opened WhatsApp this time, okay, and for time being you got a mail, then what happened? Your WhatsApp should be going at, it will go at the background and you will open your Gmail. You check your mails. Now this is over. Now you wanted to do some bank application. Go to your bank website, say HDFC. Then what is running at the background? Your Gmail is running at the background, your WhatsApp is running at the background. These are the service API which is allowing an application to run its task at the background. So without requiring a user interface. Okay, so this all can be run parallelly, one after the other, at the same time. Okay, so these are the few things that every one of us will be using in our day-to-day lives. And similarly, notification API. Suppose if you have a Amazon application and you don't want the notifications that are being receiving very frequently from the Amazon, then you want to stop them. Then your notifications will be set to off. Suppose if they are on, then you need to use this notification API to receive all the notifications that your application is getting ready or sending. Applications to create and display the notifications. Camera API, location, media, connectivity, all this we have seen. In the contacts, along with that broadcast, you also need to have this connectivity API. So camera for accessing your photos, your videos, your animations, your multimedia. Location API again to access your current location. Media for accessing all the media, audio recording, video recording, etc. anything. Okay, there's a media. And using the Android data and storage APIs, there are several APIs for storing and managing your data. So first, storage, and when we talk about data, we need to talk about a database. So the first and foremost thing when you talk about database in Android Studio, we may use a SQLite or we also may use a Firebase for database connectivity, so that your data can be stored and be accessed time to time. So these are the APIs that we are going to use. Shared preferences. It provides a simple way to store small amounts of data in the key value pairs in the application preference files. You have a preference files where your data can be stored in the form of what? Key value pairs. That is a shared preference. SQLite API, it provides a full featured of DBMS, database management system, for storing and retrieving your structured data. SQLite for what? Structured data. Content provider for sharing the data between the applications. So between the applications means what? One activity to other activity, or one application to the other application. Okay, the externally, and allows an application to access data from other applications. So as I told you, you may take a contacts application, you may take data that has been retrieved or taken from the users using a registration page or something like that. There is a content provider. File system API, it provides access to devices file system, which allows the application to create, read, update, delete files and directories. Suppose, what is the best example for this is, you have a file system. In the Windows, we will be using a FAT file system, NTFS file systems and all. In the file system, you will be generating C drive, D drive, etc. So you store some files in those drives, and you may open them, you may read them in the read mode, and you can open the file again, write the file, rewrite the file, or you can delete the file. Such managing the files is possible in the file system by using this file system API. An external storage API. This API allows an application to access shared external storage like SD card, storing and retrieving data. So we may use, when you take so many photos, we put them in the SD card and we can load it into our system or into the cloud, etc. So we all do it, right? So for that we need the external storage, especially for the Android Studio or Android applications to work. Media storage, again, this we have already discussed about media storage. Device media files like photos and videos can be accessed. So these are the, especially we are talking about the data that can be stored using a storage and retrieving using the database management system. So these are the APIs. To use these APIs, you need to import relevant Android libraries first, classes into your project. if you're not loading your libraries, you cannot use all these APIs. You can use the methods provided by these classes to interact with the data storage on the device. It's important to note some of these APIs may require additional permissions. If you require additional permissions, suppose if you wanted to send SMS, then you need to access SMS manager. You need to enable the SMS manager so that a message can be sent from your application to the mobile phone. Okay, so this is an example. So where you do this SMS manager, those permissions has to be enabled in the manifest file. Or if you wanted to access or on your or off your Wi-Fi, then you have a Wi-Fi manager. So for everything, for every application which has to be used externally and some permissions need to be given by those service providers. So Wi-Fi manager will be a Wi-Fi service provider. SMS manager will be SMS service provider. Like that, those service providers has to give the permissions to use them in your application. So such things can be made, such permission should be enabled, programmatically can be written in your manifest file so that those permissions will be enabled by those managers. So these are the common Android APIs that we have, and for every common API that need to be worked means you need to load those libraries first, load those libraries into your package so that these APIs can work appropriately. And especially for permissions, you need to change the Android manifest file and ask for the permissions to the appropriate to the respective managers, to the respective service providers, so that they can be enabled and used into your application. Hope you all understood. Thank you all.